You have joined Talking Points, and I'm Dr. Stephen E. Gardner. I'm here today with you to share another episode on the post-resurrection reflection, living a resurrected life from tragedy to triumph. Many times, and I think that it's probably we all have been maybe guilty of it at one time or another, have just kind of celebrated a holiday, and after the holiday's over, we've forgotten about what that holiday may mean and the significance of that time. But I want to bring to you today that the meaning of the resurrection of Jesus Christ for Christ's followers should be a living reality each and every day, not only for their lives, but for the lives of those who witness the kind of life they live. In this world, Christ's followers are the beacon of hope for those who have no hope. Christ's followers are an answer for those who have found themselves in a place in this life that they may call hell. Christ's followers have the keys that will release their life from the hell they live by the very same power that released their own lives. Now that's something to think about, because we haven't thought about the resurrection to be something other than a day that we look forward to once a year, where historically churches are packed out on that day. There are people that will come to church on Easter Sunday and you won't see them anymore. And so therefore the meaning of that, the meaning of what happened on that day has devolved into just a tradition and not a testimony of a living Christ that's alive and well in this earth through the body of Christ. Now let me say this. We've got a lot to learn, and the longer that I've become a Christ follower, the more I realize what I don't know. And the more I realize of whom I do love. And the more I want to see people sharing the same joy that I have, that I've discovered in Jesus Christ. But in order for that to be effective for those who may not have that experience, it's up to us that have been touched by the grace of God to learn how to live a resurrected life, kind of life, again, that offers hope for those who are experiencing tragedy, so they can learn how to move into triumph. So we're going to talk about this today as we deal with part 2, and I trust that you will be blessed by the time we share today. Let's go right into part 2. Part of resurrected living is learning how to transcend the moment. Part of resurrected living is learning how to transcend the moment. So, if I am engaged in resurrected living, then there are episodes and there are opportunities where I learn to transcend the moment. In fact, transcending the moment is clear evidence that I have a resurrected life. Let's go into some more detail that will kind of help us to kind of put this together to where it becomes practical and not just philosophical. I want to invite you to John chapter 11, verses 1 through 16. And I've coined this section as the moment I wasn't ready for. Now, a certain man was ill, Lazarus of Bethany, the village of Mary and her sister Martha. Martha was the one who anointed the Lord with perfume, wiped his feet with her hair. Her brother Lazarus was ill. So the sisters sent a message to Jesus. Lord, he whom you love is ill. But when Jesus heard it, he said, this illness does not lead to death. Rather, it is for God's glory, so that the Son of God may be glorified through it. Accordingly, though Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus, having heard that Lazarus was ill, he stayed 2 days longer in the place where he was, making the best use of the present time. Now here, in this first section of the story of Lazarus, Mary, and Martha, I want to introduce a thought to you. Resurrected living remembers what the Lord has done for me. He can also do for others. Now I'm thinking about here Mary of Bethany. And although Mary of Bethany was not a prostitute, as some believe, but she had a past. And her brokenness displayed by the breaking of the alabaster box and her adoration in pouring oil on the head of Jesus reflects this truth. The best gifts come from a place of brokenness and remembrance. Broken by the situations of life and remembering what the Lord has done. Now, you know the story. You can look at it in another section where you find Judas Iscariot, which he was really upset because this bottle, this vessel was broken open and this pure nard was poured out, and it was very costly. And you know that he was only thinking about, the money that he could get off of it. But her example showed that from a place of brokenness comes the best gifts. Some have alluded that brokenness released the oil. In this case, that brokenness is indicative of releasing the oil that blesses somebody else. And so, resurrected living remembers what the Lord has done for me, he can also do for others. The best gifts come from a place of brokenness and remembrance. When we remember how the Lord moved for us in our past, how the Lord delivered us, how the Lord made a way out of no way, how the Lord gave us a breakthrough and a release, how the Lord enabled us to get out of a tight spot that we thought we couldn't get out of, or just and met us in a time of sorrow, and a time of depression, and a time of just being lost. When he has met us in that place, when he has intervened in our lives, at a moment where it seems like that we were the only one going through what we were going through, when we were in a moment of tragedy, as it were, his grace was sufficient that allowed us to emerge from our tragedy unto a place of triumph, from a time of sorrow to a time of joy. And when you can remember what the Lord has done for you. Now, some of y'all have been to church and y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. When the Bible says that they overcame by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. It is your testimony. It is what the Lord has done for you that other people need to hear about, not for you to hide about. It is what the Lord has done for you that has given you the oil of gladness to share with those who may be in a time of sorrow. It's your remembering how God moved for you the last time that encourages you to encourage others that God can move for you this time. It was through your place of brokenness that has opened up your capacity to be a blessing in a way that you never thought you could. And so this is what we have today. Thinking about this, a resurrected life easily gives gifts to others. It is not self-centered, fully supplied, and in service towards others. Let me say that one more time. A resurrected life easily gives gifts to others. When your life has been brought up from the pit and you are grateful, you don't have a problem in giving gifts to others. But let me put it a different way. When you have found your life to have been in a place that others have found themselves in, you can empathize with where they have been and empathize with where they are. And that is open up your heart to be more compassionate toward those that are going through something, for those who are going through a bad time and those who are having a hard way. A resurrected life that's truly been ignited by the very power of God gives gifts to others, not just the leftovers, but the best gifts that come from a place of brokenness and remembrance. This kind of resurrected life is not self-centered. You're not just thinking about you. You realize that salvation was never just about you, about what you can get, and about what the Lord can do for just only you. But it's about what the Lord has done for all of us. And it's about his covenant that has enabled all of us to have access to the best gifts. And those best gifts comes from those individuals who emerge from a place of brokenness and remembrance. Am I saying that the Lord is not concerned and he can't divinely move in your life? I'm absolutely saying that. But I'm saying the opportunity and the best opportunity for somebody else to see the hand of God is when you can testify about what the hand of God has done in your life. It's when you can live the kind of life that seems to what? Triumph over tragedy. A resurrected life is not self-centered. They realize that salvation is just not about them and that the world revolves around only them. A resurrected life is fully supplied, which means what? That oil that was in that alabaster box that was broken was a supply that was in the deep recesses of that individual's spirit, that individual's heart, and is available and accessible when it's time to serve others. Now you may say, well, what does this have to do with Mary and Bethany? And what does this have to do with Martha? And what does it have to do with Lazarus? It has everything to do with Mary, Martha, and Lazarus. Resurrected living transcends the moment. So we see, so the sisters sent word to Jesus. For the resurrected life, this was another day in the park to transcend the moment by tapping into the Lord's anointing. An anointing that comes with a history of past moments and past movements of successful divine intervention. I'm sure you can remember the last time that God did something for you. When we think about it in the Hebrew scripture and we can reflect upon even David, when he was faced with the Philistine giant, it informs us, it implies that he remembered how the Lord was with him with the lion. He remembered how the Lord was with him with the bear. And so for David, it was just another day in the park for him to transcend the moment. And so he took 5 smooth stones and yielded to the weaponry that he had in hand and was able to bring down the Philistine giant. Why? Because he remembered what the Lord did for him the last time. And because of what God had done, he had given him the capacity to experience his hand again. And we have the capacity to help others. And this is what we see Martha and Mary are doing in regards to Lazarus. They remembered how the Lord had worked in the past. Resurrected living transcends the moment through a life of intercession. From what we see here, that when things go awry, the knee-jerk reaction by Mary and Martha was what? To intercede on behalf of their brother. To intercede on behalf of someone whom the Lord loves. Someone whom God loves. Sometimes it might be for you to intercede on the because of what's happening in the life of your neighbor, or intercede on behalf of someone that you don't care that much about. When we think about what happened with Jonah, we find that Jonah, he didn't want to go down there and deal with the folk from Nineveh because he didn't care nothing about them. And even after he went and preached to them and they got saved, he still had issues. There are people we don't like that we still need to intercede for. Let me say that one more time. There are people we don't like that we still need to intercede for, because the power of our intercession is not just for God's people only and for people that only believe like us. The power of our intercession moves the hand of God to protect all of humanity, or to protect those whom God loves. And last time I checked, God loves the world. Resurrected living transcends the moment through a life of intercession, not just tugging on the heart of God for oneself, but tugging on God's heart for others is a sign of a resurrected life. Interceding on behalf of all whom God loves. Jesus' love for Lazarus displays God's love for all. Let me say that again. Jesus' love for Lazarus displays God's love for all. Resurrected lives do not discriminate in whom they intercede for. You know, one of the problems that we have, that if we interceded more, we would be less judgmental about the things we see happening in the world. We will be less critical about people that may have left this life, maybe not based upon the kind of worldview, religious worldview, that they may embody and that they may embrace. We'll be quick to put somebody in the pit, as it were, or hell, because we thought and we felt like they didn't live a life that was worthy of God's salvation. There's not a life on this planet, and again, there's not a life on this planet that's not worthy of God's salvation. And none of us are that intuitive and discerning to know whether or not a person accepted Jesus into their life at their last breath. No matter what kind of life they may live, no matter what we might see that's been displayed, none of us have the right to judge another by what we remember about them. A person that lives a resurrected life transcends the moment through a life of intercession. And that person does not discriminate on whom they intercede for. Now that's for somebody, but as for you, to think about and for all of us to embrace. Lord, what took you so long? When Jesus arrived, he found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb 4 days. Now, Bethany was near Jerusalem, some 2 miles away, and many of the Jews had come to Martha and Mary to console them about their brother. When Martha had heard that Jesus was coming, she went and met him, while Mary stayed at home. Martha said to Jesus, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But even now I know that God will give you whatever you ask of him. Learning to transcend the moment. Jesus and his disciples were at a place where John baptized, Bethabara. And scholars have noted that Bethabara is about 20 miles from Bethany. And as we see here, Bethany is just 2 miles from Jerusalem. My point in showing the distance to where Jesus was and to where Jerusalem and Bethabara and Bethany is this. A resurrected life transcends the moment by realizing our help is not far away. The Bible tells us in the book of Psalms, God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. God is in the midst of her. She shall not be moved. God shall help her, and that right early. Part of resurrected living. Now watch this. Part of resurrected living is just not remembering what the words of Jesus said. Part of resurrected living is remembering what the Psalms have said. It's remembering the old as well as remembering the new. Many times we only default to one section of the Bible because we like that section more than any other. But clearly right here, one of the things that helps us to begin to navigate and transcend the moment is just not the words of Jesus. It's just not what we've seen him do through the lives of others. But sometimes we have to recall what has been said in the book of Psalms. Lo, I come in the volume of the book, for it is written of me. And so, when was the last time that the words found in the book of Psalms was a word that enabled me to transcend the moment? And we can see that clearly right here, that a resurrected life transcends the moment. How? By realizing that our help is not far away. He's Jehovah Shammah, the Lord who's there. God is our refuge and our strength, a very present help. When? When in trouble. So the next time that you're in trouble, guess what? There is a refuge and strength found in a God that's not far away at all. God is in the midst of her. She shall not be moved. God shall help her, and that right early. It's this particular psalm that shapes our awareness and gives us a hope that enables us to transcend a moment that we weren't prepared for, a moment that might be terrifying, a moment that enables us to rise up and elevate from tragedy into a place of triumph. Did I say it would happen right away? No. As we've learned here, it didn't happen right away for Mary, Martha, or Lazarus. A resurrected life learns to transcend disappointment. A resurrected life learns to transcend disappointment, especially when it appears that God is moving too slow. Now, when I think about learning, I'm thinking about a word that Jesus said in one of the Gospels. He says, "Come unto me, all you that labor and are heavy laden. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." To take on Jesus' yoke, you have to exchange your yoke. You have to give up what's holding you down as what's holding you back. You have to give up even your disappointment in what appears that God is moving too slow. Sometimes many of us are just want God to move in such a hurry. And part of that has to do that we live in a world and we live in a society that has conditioned people that they can get things faster. We have faster internet, we have the microwave, we got quantum speed. All of these things kind of condition us to believe that we can get things quick. But there are things in life that my mama told me, watched pot never boils. And sometimes it appears that God is moving too slow. And sometimes because what appears to be moving slow creates in our hearts a moment of disappointment. And in that moment of disappointment, Christ followers, I'm encouraging you to go to a life that transforms. Go to Jesus that will take the yoke of your disappointment and the yoke of your misgivings and what? Enable you to transcend the moment and to begin to look at things differently. That God was not moving slow at all. That it just appeared that way because I wanted it now. And that it was working my patience. But what does the book of James tell us? Let patience have her perfect work, that you may be perfect. And the word perfect there means to be mature, lacking nothing. Let patience perfect maturity in you while you're waiting on the Lord to move. Well, as we wrap this up today, I want to talk briefly about a hope not deferred. Let's kind of play on words because the Bible does tell us where in the Old Testament, in the Hebrew scriptures, a hope deferred makes the heart sick. But when your trust is in the Lord, a hope is not deferred. Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. Martha's statement reveals her knowledge of the power of God and its ability to transcend the moment. Martha's response also reveals her humanity. Disappointed, nonetheless, and probably having a crisis in her faith. Maybe feeling let down by the Lord she knew and the love she said he had. Sometimes our humanity gets in the way of our spirituality. But let me tell you, spirituality and humanity can coexist. Yet she was disappointed, and although she may feel like the Lord had let her down and that she was experiencing a crisis in her faith, that's part of this process, and that's part of this journey, and that's part of the struggle. To on the one hand have faith, and on the other hand to have struggle. The truth is, God does not judge us by our humanity and human frailty. Although she was struggling, she still had faith. But even now, God will give you whatever you ask for. She still believed that God could move on her behalf. In fact, in spite of the fact that her brother was now dead. There are certain things that are dead in life, and it seems like it's never going to rise again. But even now, God is able to resurrect that which is useful, that which is redemptive, and that which displays the power of God. I want you to come back here next time as we deal with the post-resurrection reflection, part 3, as we delve a little bit further in tragedy over triumph and how to live a resurrected life. We will talk to you later. We'll see you then. May God bless you till next time.